The United States stops military aid to Ukraine. Stops supplying intelligence to Ukraine. As a result, Russia launches massive attacks, causing loss of life. Also creating danger at the front line in Fushik. The Trump administration is under great pressure. Many people in the United States, including some Republicans, say he is, without a doubt, an ally of Russia. Trump ultimately gives in. He pretends to sanction Russia, saying if Russia acts like this, we will sanction them, but the harm he caused to Ukraine is real. Said on Air Force One, the United States has almost stopped the pause on intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Almost. It's really interesting. It's over, meaning not completely over. That pause. Some things are still on pause. Paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine on March 6. Wanted to pressure Zelensky to engage in peace talks with Russia. Paused intelligence sharing resulting in Ukraine being unable to resist Russian missiles. Why is that? It's because they notify Ukraine at the moment the Russian missiles are launched. Ukraine's defense system would then issue a warning about where the missiles are coming from. Defense easier. If they don't know and it comes, many can't be stopped. And it exacerbated the crisis on the Ukrainian front lines. U.S. officials did not find that pausing intelligence sharing had a direct impact on the attacks on Ukraine. The U.S. is firm, but actually, having come out and explain is already a big issue. These large-scale attacks might have been planned before the intelligence sharing stopped. If they were planned before intel sharing stopped, does that mean you were colluding with Russia? As soon as you stop, they launch an attack, right? Is it used to intimidate and force Ukraine to surrender? Is that it? Republican lawmakers directing Ukraine, this situation looks really bad, betraying their own allies like this, demanding the restoration of aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Some officials are optimistic that it might be restored next week. It must be restored. There is a huge outcry and countless protests within the U.S. As a result, the U.S. stands with Russia in slaughtering the Ukrainian people. Currently, they are still sharing defensive intelligence with Ukraine, including intelligence Ukraine's attacks, but they no longer provide precise intelligence on Russian targets. This means Ukraine can strike but cannot deeply target objectives within Russia. They cannot accurately strike those targets. When they cannot accurately strike those targets, Russia finds it easier to amass weaponry. Their command centers don't need to be on high alert. As a result, it causes greater harm to Ukraine. It's essentially the same. Western officials, European allies intend to fill the intelligence gap. But the lack of U.S. intelligence has already had a significant impact on the situation on the Ukrainian battlefield. NBC reports Trump privately expressed that nearly the U.S.-Ukraine anti-production agreement is not enough to discourage the U.S., not insufficient to resume aid and intelligence sharing. Ukraine must make concessions on ceasefire and peace agreements. Signing an anti-military agreement is not enough. Trump demands Zelensky to be more flexible in peace negotiations, including territorial concessions, and hold elections, which means agreeing Russia wants. If they want land concessions, you agree to give land. All right, the pro-Russian war bloc reported that on March 9th, Russian troops used a gas pipeline to hide. launching a surprise attack to occupy the Russian Western Fujisan Suga military. This is an independent matter. The pro-Russian military bloc born in Ukraine. Russian special forces traveled 15 kilometers through the pipeline, spent a few days concentrating here, just focus, then launched an attack. Special forces appearing on Telegram, brought gas masks, rushed out, and occupied positions, walking inside a large archive. But Reuters could not verify this information. The Ukrainian General Staff confirmed that Russian sabotage and attack groups used the gas pipeline, attempting to gain a foothold outside of Suga. In recent weeks, Russian forces have pushed back Ukrainian troops to the border of Fujisan Prefecture, with 10,000 Ukrainian troops facing encirclement due to the lack of intelligence support. The Ukrainian forces think encirclement is unlikely. They may need to retreat into Ukraine. Ukraine's online military tracking organization Deep State said that Russian forces breached Ukrainian defense line near Suga town, almost cutting off supply routes of the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainian army attacked Mount Fuji last August. Then half-year, they occupied 1,300 square kilometers. Now it has been reduced to just 400 square kilometers. Zelensky, on March 8th, appointed a delegation of the foreign minister, defense minister, and senior officials to meet with U.S. representatives in Saudi Arabia on March 11 to discuss the bottom lines of both sides. Zelensky visited Saudi Crown Prince Salman on March 10th. Afterwards, the Chief of Staff Foreign Minister and President of Ukraine, the Defense Minister, and U.S. representatives. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio visited Jeddah, Saudi Arabia from March 10th to 12th, aiming to achieve Trump's goal of ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. I think the most important thing is for him to be willing to cede territory. Ukraine plans to propose a partial ceasefire agreement regarding Russia's long-range drone and missile attacks, as well as operations in the Black Sea. Meaning Ukraine will no longer use long-range drones and missiles to attack targets within Russia, in exchange for Russia's missiles and drones, not attacking targets within Ukraine, Zelensky said on the 8th. That Ukraine has wanted peace since beginning of the war. Practical proposals have been placed on the negotiation table. The key is to act quickly, effectively, in 2019. After Zelensky was elected, at that time, he wanted to negotiate with Putin, hoping for a ceasefire in eastern Ukraine. Ukrainians said he was biased towards Russia, but he ignored it and stood firm. Later, unexpectedly, after signing the ceasefire agreement, the Russian military continued to attack. Before the talks, in Donetsk City, Ukraine, the city center was shelled by Russia, 11 dead, 47 injured, 7 children. Was shelled so close. Regarding Russia's brutal actions, Zelensky said nothing has changed for them. As long as time permits for Moscow, as long as the world allows them, they will destroy more and seize more. March 9th, Musk said, even if dissatisfied with Ukraine's policy, Starlink will never be shut down, nor will it be used a bargaining chip in negotiations, because he was pressured very hard. He said if I shut down Starlink, Ukraine's entire front line would collapse. I look at him here again. He said he challenged Putin to a fight, this is, over Ukraine. But he believes that after so many years of slaughter and falling into a stalemate, it's a war that is bound to be lost, making him feel weary. Who knows when this This meat grinder will stop. I'm really telling you. Should we continue fighting? Is it Ukraine's war? It is Ukraine's war, not for you fake humanitarians to decide. All right, Polish PM says, hey, Poland, that's Stalin, was given by Poland, giving $50 million every year, which is a lot of money, $400 million. But you are now threatening the weak who are being invaded. If SpaceX does this, we will have to find other suppliers. He said don't speak. The petty person insulted him, saying he is short. You are giving very little money. Stalin didn't have anything substantial. I don't know. $50 million is very little money. Australian Prime Minister Albanese, Australia may join Ukraine's peacekeeping, but emphasized that it's too early to deploy now. I tell everyone. That is the Five Eyes Alliance. This is the 5 English-speaking countries. Canada and Australia both have the British monarch as their head of state, as well as New Zealand. Ultimately, they will side with the UK. This goes without saying, since World War I in every war. Canada and Australia have always sided with the UK. If they must pick the UK or the US, they will choose the UK. Albanese had a conversation with Zelensky on March 8th. Zelensky and France organized a volunteer alliance, and I think the volunteer alliance doesn't really need many people, including logistics 60-70K people enough. With 10,000 people, key are the Air Force and Air Defense units, then 1 or 2 armored brigades. Just hold Kiev, and that's enough. These countries are mainly in Europe. It's a federal alliance who is sending troops now. Canada, Ireland are coming again. Turkey. Having Turkey to send more than 10-20,000 troops. Turkey's army has many people. Turkey has 300,000-400,000 people. So there are 3 main components. That is, the UK, France, and Turkey. Then add Canada and Australia as well. Italian PM Meloni said if Ukraine isn't part of NATO, NATO's Article 5 protection should extend to Ukraine. That means even if they are not successfully in NATO, we will protect Ukraine, Hong Kong, and the places occupied afterwards. This is easier than deploying peacekeeping forces, more stable, lasting, and effective. But Russia will definitely not agree to this. The latest poll shows, I told Elon Musk, Zelensky's approval rating rose to 68% from early March, an increase of 11 points. Dissatisfaction fell 37 to 27%. This is the fact. The poll was conducted by the International Institute of Sociology between February 14th and March 4th in debate through phone interviews until 1029th day. The institution analyzed 3 years into Russia's major invasion. Ukrainians still strongly support Zelensky. Regarding statements of new U.S. government as an attack on the whole of Ukraine, the executive director of the institute said, Ukraine truly wants peace, really wants peace, but absolutely opposes peace under any conditions. That would be surrendering, do you understand? Now, no one is saying that such a war cannot end in peace. Pretending to be humanitarian is asking Ukraine to surrender. Ukraine says keep fighting. You are willing to. Russia kills Ukrainians is extremely despicable.